It's the Growler with BD and J. Here to analyze for you today. From Growler Bet to Jay's got stats. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Growler Podcast.
All right. Welcome into the latest edition of the Growler. It's PD and J, Paul Dehner Jr. and Jay Morrison here with you with our special guest this week, Charlie Goldsmith, stationed at a delightful hotel in Chicago, Illinois. How are we doing, Charlie?
Hilton Garden Inn. It's one of my go-to staples on the circuit is this Hilton Garden Inn in Chicago.
Hilton Garden, that's a staple. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know you were a Hilton Garden guy.
Depends on the city. But in Chicago, this is the one I like. We don't need to. That's it. That's enough context and information.
That's enough.
I thought sports writers were contractually obligated to go to Marriott's.
Yeah, that's true.
It's about the location of the property and the Chicago and the transportation impact. And
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What a riveting start to this podcast.
That's right. That's right. Look, people want to know about your travel. You're there, of course, covering Reds, Cubs. Check out Power Stacks for more great stuff coming on what's been, speaking of riveting, a riveting series in Chicago. But we are here today to talk about the Bengals, but not just talk about the Bengals. We had a very specific funnel for this show. We want to talk about rookies. We have just watched 10 practices with these guys. They're about to hit games. The preseason games obviously will be the next level, but this is our chance to review for those of you that haven't been able to make it to any practices or just want more information. We know you guys love hearing more about rookies, so we want to bring you more about the rookies. Nuggets that we've heard, things we've seen, plays we've liked, you name it. We're emptying the notebook here on the Bengals rookie class and some UDFAs. So we're gonna get into all of that stuff here today. There will be takes, I imagine. There usually are. So we'll get into those. The Camargo Insurance Run Passer boot is back. Shout out to the Growl Pals who showed so much love as we debuted that last week. Already sign-ups that have happened with Josh, but he has come up with a good question. I like it. It has rhyming, which I appreciate people that send in questions that have rhyming to our judge and jury of the Run Passer boot, Josh from Camargo Insurance. We'll have that. We will have a fun Arby's drop for you, something that we literally in the moment said that has to be an Arby's this week. So that's coming your way later on. But we're going to talk rookies. I would do want to remind everybody, September 4th, Thursday night, of course, is the start of the NFL season. Cowboys, Eagles is that night, but you know it is the start of the season because that is our season kickoff show at BetMGM down at the Banks, Tom's Watch Bar. Our kickoff show is one of our favorites that we do every single year. We look forward to seeing all of you guys down there. It's going to be a blast. You know how much fun it is, and we'll be giving away Bengals tickets and other giveaways. We're trying to be the giveaway home this year. We're going to do it. Make sure, though, before you do that, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM, use the bonus code Growler. Get that app. All caps Growler, and you'll get a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Download the app. Use Growler. Deposit at least $10. Place your first wager on any game. You'll receive the same bet amount, up to $1,500 in the bonus bet. If it loses, just make sure you use the bonus code Growler when you sign up. Go out, get the BetMGM app. Use that bonus code Growler, $1,500 off your first bet offer. Let's talk rookies. I'm going to open it up like this to you guys. Who is your pick for Bengals Rookie of the Year? January, Growler is happening. Maybe February, Growler is happening, okay? We're looking back. Who is your pick for who we will say was the Rookie of the Year, Charlie?
It's the guy they've asked the most from any defensive edition, not just rookie edition, defensive edition, from all the players the Bengals acquired this year. It's Demetrius Knight. While Shemar Stewart, we'll talk about him and the encouraging signs that we're seeing and the upside and the way that could translate into a role and into versatility. There's one guy who's going to be playing every single snap. There's one guy who's playing a pivotal role in fixing the tackling issues that plagued the Bengals as much as they did last season. There's one guy who has the chance to immediately be a leader for the entire defense. And frankly, if Demetrius Knight's not good, then the whole defense kind of breaks from the middle. If Shemar Stewart needs more time, you can still talk yourself into a path where Murphy and Osai step up. So there's a lot on Demetrius Knight's plate.
Yeah, I kind of looked at it, college football is getting ready to start here before NFL. They have the coaches poll and then they have the media poll, the AP poll. And I kind of think that's where it might come down to a difference. I think at the end of the year, if you polled the coaches, they would vote Demetrius Knight. I think Shemar Stewart's going to have more splash plays than Demetrius Knight. I think he's just going to be, kind of a solid rock, and he might have some big splash plays. We've seen a couple in camp already, but I think he's just going to be, like Charlie said, that key middle piece that's just going to do the dirty work. And I think Shemar is going to get the splashy, the PBUs, the sacks, the pressures, all those type of things. And if I'm picking right now, my bet would be Shemar, just because his plays are going to look like bigger impact plays.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I would say, what would be the greatest outcome for those Bengals coaches that would be voting in that poll is that it's the 3rd round pick Dylan Fairchild who ends up winning this. That would be the great, because they're counting on him in ways that are just as much as Knight or Stewart. And it would show progress for what has been a problem for this team for so long, which is drafting in those middle rounds. I don't think that will be the case. I'm with Charlie. I think Demetrius Knight, it'll be close. You could certainly see an argument both ways, especially if we've seen flashes from Stewart, but Knight just feels like he is going to be a linchpin. I wonder how many votes he'll receive for rookie captain. That was broached, in conversations around the locker room. I don't, Logan Wilson's probably going to get that nod in the locker room, obviously, but like, you can sense people believing in him, and you're right. They're asking so much, and there's not a real plan beyond that. And so I'm with you. I think that's probably where this starts.
Yeah, it's another situation too, where with all these rookies, kind of except for, I guess, Osai, the backup plans behind them, it's not like, Cordell Wilson at left guard or Oren Burks at linebacker. I like the camp Osai's having. Miles Murphy. It's not like the guys behind these rookies are popping and competing for spots and going out to take certain jobs, even down the depth chart. Like, it's the weeds, but it's not like Devin Cochran's outplaying Jalen Rivers, or it's not like Gary Brightwell's outplaying Tahj Brooks. It's no. All these rookies are getting a shot. The guys behind backing up the rookies, you're not loving where you're at there. So that makes all these guys kind of pretty solidified in spots on the depth chart.
I asked Zac Taylor yesterday about a general theme for this rookie class. There's always something, it's speed or, general athleticism, or they're loud energy. He snapped off football IQ before I could finish the question. And I found that interesting because it's not something that I think you typically associate with rookies. But I think what you just mentioned, Charlie, is that element of these rookies has allowed them to have confidence in them to play and not screw it up, which we documented a lot last year, playing and screwing it up, right? And costing games. It's the old Mike Zimmer, Paul Gunther line. For every rookie that you play this season, he'll cost you one game. And that was something that we saw kind of come to fruition last year. I think there's a feel with a lot of these guys that they won't screw it up, that these are the types of guys that won't cost you games, and time will tell on that. But have you guys gotten that? Has that stood out to you guys in the same way that it did to Zac Taylor?
For me, it has. You just haven't seen the gaffes. I mean, even with Rivers and Fairchild, you haven't seen them false start, little things like that. And we don't know the intricate details of their assignments and those type of things, but it has stood out. And I thought what was really interesting, what Zac said, is that a big reason for the IQ is because these are guys that stuck it out and played 3, 4, 5 years at their school and didn't transfer, stayed at the same school. And the guy that did transfer twice, it might be the guy with the highest rookie IQ of all, and that's Demetrius Knight. So I do think that plays into it. They've talked about it for forever, wanting captains and the love of football, and part of being a captain is the IQ part of it. It's also great play and leadership, but that did kind of surprise me too when he went that, not just he went that direction, he went that direction so fast. It was almost like he was anticipating the question at some point, and that's what you want. I mean, yeah, number one, they need to be able to play, but when you have that kind of head start, and kind of going to get into it a little bit later with one when we go over these guys one by one, but that knowledge coming in, that foundation is huge anytime for rookies. But when you, like Charlie said, when you're counting on all these guys as much as they are, I think that's really going to pay dividends, and we'll see if it continues in the preseason. That's where sometimes these missteps and the rookie mistakes show themselves first.
There's a reason why I believe all three of us, after day 3 of the draft, wrote the 2020 Bengals draft redux story. I mean, it was kind of going back to their roots, right? This was their draft strategy this year, to get these types of people, as opposed to the, say, upside chances that they took in 2024. And I wrote a story a couple weeks ago about, you know, I'll use the quote, like Muma Jung Meta said, we were a very immature rookie class. There were guys showing up late. There were guys maybe stepping over a couple of lines too far. And Zac pulled all the rookies into his office after the first month of the season and said, 1, we're counting on you guys. 2, we're counting on you guys now. And 3, this has got to change. Don't wait until it's year 2 or 3 of your career to start really paying attention to these details. And since then, you know, Zac's been open about this. He's been even more involved in kind of getting the rookies, especially up to speed with extra conversations and stuff like that. And then as well, again, making sure you have those types of rookies in the building, being at this crux from a team building position where the Bengals are at, where their best guard, their best linebacker, their best new pass rusher are all rookies. It's just what they've got to be.
It's the Jermaine Burton reaction draft that we talked about, you know. It's just the scar tissue from last year. Not just him, obviously, like you mentioned, Charlie. There was a lot of guys who were sort of that vein, him being front and center, most obvious. Let's get to this right now. Let's talk Shemar Stewart. Okay. With all of these guys, I want to just kind of tick through, and we'll kind of offer some of our favorite nuggets or plays or quotes that we heard, and we'll kind of talk about what success looks like for each guy. Let's talk Shemar Stewart. Jay, kick me off. What do you got? What's one of your favorite items in your notebook on Shemar Stewart right now?
Well, ironically, with him, it is a rookie mistake, and it was shooting Gatorade instead of water into his eyes on his first day back. That just kind of sums
Classic.
up the whole, you know, being out as long as he was with the holdout and all of that. But it's funny, but it is also telling that that's the mistake that we're pointing at, because he has been really good since he got here. And I think obviously the coaches believed that he could do this, but I'm still surprised he's been as effective in practice as he has, given how long he was out. I mean, it didn't take, what was it, his second practice when he had the 2 pass breakups on Jake Browning, and we've seen him blow around Orlando Brown, like quality tackles in this league. We've seen him drop in coverage. We've seen him chase down run plays. We've seen him do everything that they drafted him to be in basically a week and a half, if even a week and a half. It's been more like a week that he's actually been out there practicing. So I think that is a great sign for this team. And it's just that's one of the stories I think is going to linger throughout the year is we'll be in week 8, week 9 asking Shemar, you remember when you shot Gatorade in your eyes?
What do you got, Charlie?
It was the moment where Shemar really joined the team, and it was that pass breakup practice. And the first ones, he kind of played it cool, like, all right, like, and then the third one, the place went nuts, and Shemar was like, all right. And he kind of allowed himself to go there, and he was celebrating with the guys on the sideline. And again, like, I felt like that was the moment where Shemar really joined the team. You allude to something as well, the versatility in terms of the types of plays that he's making, variety of moves in space and tight windows, all that type of stuff. And then there's a quote from Devin Cochran, who Shemar's been primarily going up against. He's had a good window into all this. He said, yeah, the speed and the strength are impressive, but to me, it's been the development from day one, applying specific techniques and catching up as rapidly as he did. And it was that adjustment process that stood out the most to the guy going up against him.
Yeah, that was something that Jerry Montgomery specifically mentioned, that the first couple of days, it was just Shemar trying to go right through the chest of people, just trying to go right up the middle and use power, because it's what he's doing. Once they started working on the edges and you saw him start to utilize that better you saw some of the flash plays start to show up. For me, whenever coaches talk about rookies, I don't really listen to the words as much because they're all trying to say nice things in general. I listen to tone. I listen to the way that they rise up when they talk about them or sit up in their chair or lean forward. When Al Golden the other day in that awful scrum on the side is in front of it's hot. A long practice just happened. We're all centered around him. We're pretty deep into the practice. It was a question about versatility that came towards the end. And Al Golden couldn't wait. And his tone lifted, talking about unprovoked Shemar Stewart's rare ability and how rare whether you agree or disagree or whatever your philosophy is or whatever your opinion was of Shemar, that player is rare coming out of the draft. Someone that can come off the edge, one play in the B gap, 2 plays later, play in the C gap, set the edge, do multiple things. It's just rare. He was wanting everyone to know why his eyes have been so wide open watching Shemar make these plays. And I thought his tone, the way he wanted to get that in and talk about that, showed how impressive he has been to them and how eye-opening he has been, just like he has been, to all of us watching with, less trained eyes to what they want him to do.
Yeah, the question that set that off was about versatility, and he was talking about all the different spots he's played, and that's a lot for a young guy coming in the first week of practice. I know one of the things we want to touch on is defining success for these guys.
Yep.
My definition for success for Shemar is going to be if he finishes in the top 3 on the team in pressures and top 3 in tackles among defensive linemen, top 3 in pressures overall. I know people are so enamored with the sacks, but we see it all the time from these young guys. It's one thing to get there. It does take time to kind of learn how to finish at this level. And I do think affecting the passer, especially if you get Trey back, you got Trey on the other side, and he's getting a lot of those finishes and getting the sacks, that's going to be success if Shemar, number one, stays healthy, plays enough, and he can impact both the run game and the pass game. Because we have that, they've talked about that, how good he is against the run. And you figure, among D linemen, probably TJ Slayton is going to be the guy that's going to lead them in tackles. But if you can get Shemar up there top 3 in both tackles and pressures, I think that'll be a successful year for him.
What I've got is more just about earning opportunity. Is Shemar on the field in, 2-minute stop situations, closing time? Is he at a position where he's ready for that? And then I'm going to make the number 2 games. Are there 2 games where he makes a play in those situations that it's like, all right, big play, big moment of the game? We're talking to Shemar in his locker afterwards about a pivotal play down the stretch. That's what they brought him to do. Those are the situations. Those are the moments where you get to pin your ears back. Does Shemar do that and just go and impact the game in those pivotal high leverage spots? Does he get those reps, and then can he really take advantage of them twice? To me, that would be a successful season.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think is he out there? Because I think it's about building that trust, the belief that in the biggest moments they want him on the field, because there's a lot of competition for that. There's a lot of young guys, whether we're talking about Trey Hendrickson's obviously going to be out there. I guess I shouldn't say obviously. Trey Hendrickson's probably going to be out there. You're going to have Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai, Chris Jenkins, Slayton, BJ Hill. There's a lot of people that they could put out there and feel okay about, but they drafted Shemar to go over top of those people, to have more dynamic plays than those people, to have more juice. And maybe he is a little bit raw and they're trying to develop it, but if he can be the one where they're like, I would rather on 3rd and 7 against Jacksonville in week 2 or against Baltimore in December, have Shemar Stewart out there with the game on the line, then that's success. That means he's been doing enough and he has built enough trust, because we know if he does that stuff to build enough trust, his athleticism in the 10.0 relative athletic score will go a long way to take it over. All right, we're going to go run, pass, or boot here, which is going to start with us booting Charlie. So, Charlie, you're going to be back. But for right now, I'm going to boot you for 1 sec. All right. It is time for the Camargo Insurance Run, Pass, or Boot. That's our guy, Josh from Camargo Insurance. He's got the gavel. He's got the RPB robe. And he is here to take all of your RPB questions and be the judge of jury of which one was best this week. Thanks to everybody that sent some in last week. There were a bunch to choose from. And I think we have a good one for this week. But not just that. You guys, I just want to say, you know a great deal when you see one. It was a flood, Jay, a flood.
Good.
People who had multiple signups, people who wanted to win these Bengals Ravens tickets, which are available for the home game. You just go in, you get this no obligation quote. He will let you know, look, I can save you money on insurance with this group or with this group. It's all right there in front of you. You don't have to do anything. Just fill out a few things in the form, and you're in the raffle to win Bengals Ravens tickets. And guess what? Some people found out, yeah, this is actually going to save me a lot of money. Multiple signups in week 1. Bam, let's go. Josh is here to help you and maybe help you win some Bengals Ravens tickets. Jay, I know you love winning tickets.
I do. I already have a press pass to the game, so I'm going to recuse myself from this. But I do love to save money, and I do love to win contests.
The biggest thing is he spells it all out in an easy to understand way. You look at the numbers for home, auto, business, life insurance, how it compares to what you've got. Bam, there it is, all right in front of you. What really sets it apart, though, is Josh has a mission to empower you. Live your best life with confidence. He knows the coverage that will actually make sense for you. You want your insurance something that's simple, personal, and handled by someone who's already in the family, who you can trust. Reach out to Josh at Camargo, Josh at CamargoInsurance.com. Send all your RPBs to him as well. And then hit that link down there in the QR code or in the show notes. And that's how you can see if you can save some money on your insurance or win Bengals Ravens tickets. All right. The RPB that he put out this week was from Daniel Bayless. He judged this to be the best, Jay. Most combined sacks and touchdowns this year. Most combined sacks and touchdowns. I like it for the rhyming. Shema and Jama. Trey and Andrei. Or T and Murphy. Kind of had to stretch that one a little bit, not going to lie. A little struggle to get that one in, but we made it work. Shemar and Jamar, Trey and Andrei, T and Murphy. Combined sacks and touchdowns, run, pass, or boot, Jay.
So this is both easy and hard. I think the boot is easy. I'm going to boot T and Murphy. We haven't seen it from Murphy yet. T, there's always the question, will there be games missed because of a soft tissue injury? I don't think you can go high volume with that pairing. The other two, though, that is hard because I feel like there's going to be a regression for Trey. He's still going to be really good. I don't think you can expect 17.5 again. But on the other hand, I think there's going to be ascension for Andrei. He has really developed something with Joe in the red zone, in off-script plays. He is on the come. I think we're going to see him get more touchdowns this year. I think Jamar, he could even go over 17 that he had last year. I don't know. You can't, even though it was a crazy year, Triple Crown, you can't say there's a regression coming there, but the wild card of Shemar leaves me a little uneasy to run with that one. So I'm going to run with Trey and Andrei. I will pass on Shemar and Jamar, and I will boot T and Murphy.
Yeah, booting T and Murphy. As much as it pains me, obviously, with my doubling and tripling down, I'm doing trying to save face. I think that's the obvious boot here. It's a run pass quandary. I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna go Shema and Jamar. I think you have to here. I think Shemar and Jamar is the one just by nature. I don't know that Jamar Chase is gonna rack up 17 touchdowns or whatever. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen again. But I also don't think Trey Hendrickson's going to have 17.5 sacks again. That's a massive number. And I mean, maybe, but I don't know that I see that again. I think both of those numbers come down, and I think I have more faith in Shemar Stewart to have more sacks than Andrei Yoshivas has touchdowns this year. As much as he's better, Yoshi is better and is a red zone weapon and all of that. So there's just so many, like between Chase Brown and T and Jamar and Gesicki and Noah Fant now.
Fant now,
There's just so many different places those touchdowns can go, and I do think Shemar's been effective. So I'll run with Shemar and Jamar. All right. If you want to get your question read, send it to Josh at CamargoInsurance.com, and he will pick from the best of the lot each week. And of course, if you want to win Bengals Ravens tickets, you want to get into that giveaway. The giveaway form's at the QR code in the show notes. No obligation quote. Boom, put it in. You don't have to do anything. He'll just show you, hey, look, I can save you money, or maybe I can't. But either way, you're going to know and be empowered for that. So just a chance to see Burrow and Lamar is right there in front of you. Your odds are great. Jay loves great odds.
I do.
Absolutely. All right. Should we bring Charlie back?
Yes.
Let's bring Charlie back. Charlie, do you have what would be your pick on that run, pass, or boot, by the way?
Can I go off the board? I'm going Joe and Joe. Joe Burrow rushing touchdowns and Joseph Osai sacks. One more quick question, Paul. Does Miles Murphy have that dog in him?
Was it too much?
Just real quick.
Do we think it was too much?
Real quick. Do you have a quick answer for that?
I think I don't know. I don't know if he has that dog in him. I do know that matters. I don't know. I'm sorry. Was it too much though?
It was a great story. Good job. Good job, Paul.
I've always kind of just I couldn't get past it. It was the only way I could think to describe it. What do you want me to do? Keep using mentality and mindset and attitude.
You did a fun trick that I feel like I never can pull off when I try it. Just circling back at the end of your story and ending it with a question.
Yeah.
Powerful, man.
I mean,
because we don't.
Because the story was that it's a question. The story is a question.
It was
the
well
Miles
done. I like
Murphy
that,
arc is a question. We don't.
Yeah.
I was not pretending to have an answer. Yeah.
No, I'm saying that was a nice little device to end the story.
I tried. Okay, let's talk Demetrius Knight, shall we? Demetrius Knight Jr. We talked about him at the top. Charlie and I are giving him a vote for potential rookie of the year. Go to the notebook, though, Charlie. What do you got in the notebook that you liked?
Man, that ball that he tipped to Dax Hill was so cool.
Yep.
It reminded me of, I think I've got this right. It was like during the Colts joint practice last year. It was like the story was, the Bengals noticed, these Eric All blocks are pretty cool. We should be like doing stuff with this. And you have those moments in a training camp that are unbelievably powerful. And it felt like Demetrius's recognition there, just the pure instincts, the pure athletic talent to be able to get in a window for Jamar. One other honorable mention, and it's kind of a Barrett Carter honorable mention too, but that day where Barrett had that leaping pass breakup at the goal line, which I'm sure we'll talk about, Logan was out that day, so that just a rest day. So that day was just Demetrius and Barrett running the show at linebacker, and I remember being incredibly impressed just by the presence, the confidence, the communication, the ability at that position, and of course Demetrius will be the starter and the focal point for that. So, even when you take the veteran savvy, experienced starter out like Logan, Demetrius kind of knows how to be that guy.
Yep. For me, I don't know if it was day one or day two of pads, but there was a play when Demetrius just popped Samaje Perine, knocked him to the ground. Ted Karras comes up and shoves him. It starts a little skirmish, nothing serious. I asked Demetrius about that after that day. It was a day after, and I asked him about it, and I thought his answer was both telling as a rookie, but also very mature and everything we've come to learn about him with his presence. And his answer was, that hit wasn't on purpose. I was trying to take on the block and get on top, and he just so happened to be right there on the other side of it. I just threw a little shoulder into it, and it caught him off balance. It wasn't egregious. It wasn't on purpose. That's just how it played out. I apologize to him, and I apologize to everyone in here. I wasn't trying to hit him like that. A veteran's probably not going to apologize for anything like that happens on a field. A rookie kind of feels like he has to. But I thought it was a mature answer from him. And one of the things that I wrote down after the first couple times we met him is, from Demetrius Knight, I get big Jesse Bates vibes. Jesse was one of those guys that came in and he just acted, and it just felt like he belonged. It felt like he was so far above his age and experience and maturity level, and I get that. And they're both second round picks, and I think the Bengals would be thrilled if Demetrius Knight develops into a Jesse Bates type of player, but he's got that makeup in him.
I love that comp, Jay. That's a great call. A guy, because I mean, you go back to Jesse's rookie year, and it was his second game. He's making plays and immediately felt like a core piece of the defense right away, and played right into what they thought he was going to be. I love that. To me, I don't, I go to just kind of the fact that I looked at this rookie report that I wrote today, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, I guess he is a rookie. You don't even think about the fact that he's a rookie. He's just played the part since day one. They've plugged him in there since day one. The moments and OTAs that he arrived, there he is with the starters. You knew who that was going to be. And I just think it's a departure from what, Jermaine Pratt did a lot of great things, but it was off the rails last year. And I think he's just a departure in terms of bringing back a stability to that spot on the defense. And that's made such a big deal. I go to Barrett Carter as well, who told me he thinks that Demetrius Knight is the smartest player he's ever played with in his whole life. And I didn't know if that was, like, hey, there are other veterans in here. I mean, Oren Burks has just won the Super Bowl. He's been around for a long time. Logan Wilson probably be the C. I mean, maybe that's something about some of the players at Clemson. But for him to say that, truly the smartest player I've ever been around, I thought was something to hear from a teammate like that. What's success look like?
You might notice
a
scared face. You might notice a scared face I had while Jay was speaking. I think I just saw a ghost, but so that was the explanation.
Ghosts aren't real.
Ghosts are real. I've seen ghosts.
I think I just saw right now. Like, that's not
like a real one.
Like a real ghost.
Are you going to report it to the front
in
desk?
Your room?
Two doors that were closed and locked opened at the exact same time, and I saw something. This isn't a bit. This isn't a joke. Like, I think that actually just happened. Anyway, success for Demetrius.
You can't just anyway. I just saw a real ghost right in front of me. Are you concerned right now? Is everything okay?
I think the ghost should be friendly. I don't think ghosts are inherently not friendly. I just think I actually just saw a ghost.
And that was the end of Charlie's stay at the Hilton Garden in Chicago. Suddenly, he's in the market
isn't a bit.
for
like,
a new
I think
hotel.
I actually just saw a ghost.
I won't go off on my ghost tangent in the middle of this. Longtime listeners of the podcast have heard my ghost story before. I have also seen a ghost, Charlie. So if you need to commiserate over this, I can. Ghosts are real. You probably did.
This isn't a bit. Like, I'm being dead serious.
How far apart are the doors?
So
I just hope that you make it to the end of this podcast, because I need to hear your undrafted free agent feelings before you get taken out by a ghost.
I get taken, yeah. I come back from like the outer realms. Ooh, Mitchell Tinsley.
I can't believe you just saw a ghost live on the pod. That's amazing. I guess we do anyway this. Success for Demetrius Knight.
Above average missed tackle rate is 1. And it's something that I asked Al Golden about on draft night about Demetrius' skill set, that he says not quite there yet, but they want to focus on it and develop it. And that's backfield production. I want Demetrius to at least match what was the strength of Jermaine Pratt's, which is, tackle for losses, not as much sacks, Jermaine, but sure, throw sacks in there as well. With Mike Hilton gone, with Pratt gone, who's going to create that backfield impact from the second level? They've really hyped up Knight's ability to set the tone at the line of scrimmage and the instincts and awareness to make those plays. Can he tackle, and can he also kind of let it go on some of those plays as well?
Yeah, I at first I was thinking it starts, and then I was like, you can't go with starts or snaps. They're plugging him in. They're expecting him to start every game and be a huge part of this defense. So I went to define success for Demetrius Knight, kind of what I went back before with the splash plays. I'm gonna say he needs to get at least 3 game balls this year, because he's gonna get one with his first career interception.
I like that a lot.
He's gonna get one with his first career sack. And then one other one that's going to be a big splash play that's going to help win a game. Zach gives them out like candy, so it's not like it's really hard to get game balls. So I think he's probably, you can say 2 is he should get when he hits those first milestones. But if he gets 3 game balls this year, that'll be success.
Are you counting the inevitable? This one goes to the whole defense game.
No.
Okay, all right. That's
Individual.
a shout out in the Zac Taylor post game speech game ball. Toss the game ball.
Not now, but this would be like a great Who Daylight bit, setting the parameters for like, all right, because you can't give out the whole defense game ball for like Cleveland. You should like specifically set out the parameters for when that should be allowed. The first whole defense gets a game ball this season.
Yeah. I mean, if they get a shutout of Joe Flacco, right, then it probably counts. Does that even count? Does it even count? Or is it just an asterisk game ball? You know how they have the tape and they write your name and the score? It's just one big asterisk Flacco, on it. To me, I think it's going to be if he is voted a 2026 captain, because I think you can see that, but he has to play like it to earn that. Now, and that's no disrespect to Logan Wilson, who I think, could, if he plays good again this year, would continue to be that guy. But I think if his play gets close to backing up the respect that he's already earned in terms of the way he's handled himself and taken over immediately, I think he would be a 2026 captain. That would mean that he had the season that everybody was counting on. But, again, Jay, love that Jesse Bates comp is perfect for this conversation. Let's move to maybe the most important X factor in the rookie class, and that is third-round pick Dylan Fairchild, who is currently plugged in as the starting left guard. Charlie, what do you got in the Dylan Fairchild notebook?
I'm just going to stress the individual drills highlight tape, and I'm sure we'll talk about that time he just shoved Eric Gregory to the ground in a one-on-one matchup, but just watching them move the sled, watching them do all the different tricks and gizmos they do for offensive line drills. You see it. There is a different sort of combination of power, oomph, and what's the word I'm trying to say? There's a sway in his hips that's athletic that you don't typically see from a third. You see the traits. I do see him right now as more a traits guy than a floor guy. For example, Cordell Volson came in, he had a chip on his shoulder, he grinded, and he North Dakota Stated his way through his rookie season, which was fine. And I think that Dylan Fairchild should have a very similar season, which would be a huge success because Cordell was the second best lineman on a team that should have made it to the Super Bowl. And then Cordell just dropped off. But it'll be a different style with those physical athletic traits that I think you'll see pop, maybe even as a downhill run blocker. Might not always be from a consistency perspective with the technique in terms of getting beat, but I think that's important to establish the archetype of player that Dylan Fairchild is.
For me, I kind of go back to draft night and a quote from Dan Pitcher where he said the nastiness just oozes out of him. And we haven't really seen that. But again, that probably goes to the football IQ part of it, where you don't want to just be out there being a jerk and nasty to your teammates in practice. And Paul, you brought it up in your rookie report, how I missed the night practice last week. But he did bury Howard Cross on a play when he stumbled. And so that's a little bit into that. So that's Thursday nights. What's really going to show is that nastiness going to come out against the Eagles. And just for a little nugget for Dylan Fairchild, I thought it was interesting because you always talk to these rookies about their first preseason game and their emotions and all that. And I can't remember who it was. One of the TV reporters brought up the fact that there are 7 Georgia players on that Philadelphia defense that he's going to be going. He played with 6 of them. And I was like, well, how do you decide who you're going to jersey swap with after the game? And he said, none of them. There'll be time for that later. He's like, my mom's getting this first jersey. So I thought that was really cool from him. And I'm looking for that. He's going to be in there. He's going to play with however long the starters play. He's going to be in there. I don't know that the Eagles are going to play their starters in this game, but that's where you want to forget technique and all that. You want to see that mean streak. I think they need more of that from this O-line.
Yeah. I would say the one thing for me that I look at is the fact that they're just discussing him as the starter and really have since. That's never wavered. I mean, from, you mentioned Pitcher at draft night. I mean, it was essentially saying he's going to be the starter the moment they drafted him.
Yeah.
And then that was the case in OTAs, and that's been the case in the beginning of camp, and now in the first every mile post along the way, they have been more and more committed to him and not even really broaching the idea of a competition. Like, it's maybe mentioned that as a just in case, but no, he's playing with the starters. This is a guy that could use more reps. Okay, he could use staying in when the twos come in. There's no mention of Cordell Volson. There's no mention of needing more reps. He's going to be out there when the starters are out there. When the starters leave, he leaves. That's who he is. He is the starting left guard. He has gained that trust from us, and we're going to just go forward with that belief. The fact that it's been so resolute since day one is the thing in my notebook that I can't get past. They're committed. They're sink or swim essentially with him, because that means it would take some truly disastrous play, and that can happen. Carmen, Jackson in the preseason for him to give this up and not be the guy. And I think, judging by what we know of him and what we've seen so far, I don't see that coming this preseason.
This second and third round draft strategy of this class, like, I think we should always talk about Knight and Fairchild together because of how they didn't address what we thought would have been a starting immediate need in the first round with Shemar. Oh, but they'll make up for it on day two. And then just the plan and the idea and the strategy with Knight and Fairchild to this point has completely played out to fruition. They got guys they targeted and were completely prepared on with an idea and a vision for. And so far that's been executed very well. All of that has been a successful draft strategy for the Bengals to this point.
Can I give you my definition of success for Dylan Fairchild? My definition of success. Do you guys know in the last 10 years how many third-round picks have started at least 10 games their rookie year? Do you know?
Any position?
At guard.
At guard.
I'm going to say
how
10.
many third-round guards? 10.
And how many years?
In the last decade, last 10 years. Yeah, 11 is the answer. You're very close. Right on it. The list has some names on it. Okay? Joe Tooney, Graham Glasgow, Pooney from San Francisco last year, who had a really
good.
He had a really good rookie year for them and started. Damian Lewis, a lot of guys that when you now look at the top paid guards in the league are there on this list. And there's some fails, of course. You're going to have that. But if he can go out there and hang for a season, okay, and, maybe he misses some games because of injury or whatever, but if he goes 10 plus, if he starts, and the games and starts are the same number and it's over 10, I think that's a real success. Because, let's be honest, the chance that at some point they're like, we got to try somebody else is real. Okay. If it's week 5 and it's just not going well, and they're like, we got to get Lucas and Cody to be the two guys, or Cordell, it's just not going. That's an obvious conversation that you could see happening. But if Dylan can be solid enough that he makes it, sort of the Cordell Volson factor that you talked about, Charlie, there's a chance he could end up being one of those names that we mentioned, but he's got to get out there and prove he can survive this year. So that's success to me.
Yeah. What I wrote down.
Go ahead.
I said what I wrote down was maintain starting job, but on top of that, top 40 in PFF pass blocking grade among guards. And 40 doesn't sound great, but for a rookie, and you consider there's 2 per team, so that's 64 starting guards in the league. It's you get to that halfway point. I think it's a little too pie in the sky to say be top 20, something like that. But maintain the starting job, be good enough to be in the top 40. I think that'll be how I define success, and then that could really be a springboard into year 2.
I do feel like, too, and this is kind of a different point, but the contingency plans at guard, now those will all kind of, the preseason will be critical for all that evaluation, but Cordell hasn't had a great camp. Jalen Rivers has been playing tackle. Seth McLaughlin and Matt Lee haven't been in there. Like, Jackson Kirkland has been bouncing around and doing Jackson Kirkland things. It's not like from this swath of third team developmental, can you maybe find something? it doesn't feel like they've found something. The way is cleared for Dylan and then for Cody and Lucas on the right side. Successful season. So you kind of can't make it don't get benched, just because I don't know that there's a ton of competition right now that we see to bench Dylan for. Here's what it is. I don't remember the names of the other third round guards this year. I think it would be a success for me to keep it that way. So we're not like in December. Well, if they would have just drafted, was it Jared Wilson or I'm forgetting the rest of those guys. If there's not one of those guys that we're like, man, the Bengals could have had him, and we all know his name and he's a household name the same way that like Sam Laporta is around Cincinnati, that to me is a successful season because it means they picked the right guy.
Wyatt Milam was the only other third round guard.
Yeah, exactly. Let's shift forward here and get into Barrett Carter, and we tick through these day 3 guys here. Barrett Carter, what's in the notebook, Jay?
Yeah, it goes back to well, I talked about it on one of the walkout pods, but he's wearing the green dot, the trust that they have in him as a rookie. I asked him about that, and he said in college that he did wear the green dot for Clemson. They also signaled plays in from the sideline. It just kind of goes back to how college coaches are control freaks, and they trust you to wear the headset, but they still want to get the play in. And now it's totally on him when he is out there, and he's splashed. He's running with the 2s, but he had that day that Charlie mentioned when he was out there with Demetrius with the 1s when Logan was taking a vet day, and I just think that shows a lot about a guy that they trust him to be in that position. Oren Burks is a veteran in this league, and he's running alongside of him with the 2s. That would seem like a more logical choice to give the green dot to. And for some of you guys, the green dot is the helmet communication with the coaches when they signal in the plays. I just think that says a lot about his football IQ, going back to Zach's comment, and a lot about what their plan is for him as far as the depth chart goes with Barrett and Oren Burks.
What I think is so cool about Barrett Carter is, all right, the one kind of clarification we do have is he is what Al Golden will call a stack linebacker. He's that middle linebacker, drop back in coverage, kind of play side to side, showcase some range. I think that Barrett actually would have the skill set from a sub package perspective to be either the 3 in a 4-3 scheme where you have him get downhill and set a tone kind of at not the line of scrimmage, but at the point of attack. And I think he just could be a traditional true third down linebacker who you put in what was like the 2020 Logan Wilson role. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep 2 linebackers on the field in those spots, the versatility there and the options that he presents. I mean, versatility is the theme, football IQ. Yes. That's also a theme from Zach, but versatility, I guess, except for Dylan Fairchild, because, add in Jalen Rivers, add in Tahj Brooks with the run and the passing game, which we'll talk about. There's real versatility and stuff to work with Barrett. And he just plays. I'm just a fan of watching him play football out there.
I understand that there's going to be a lot of pressure on Barrett Carter. People are going to want to see him out there, out snap Oren Burks or whatever we want to talk about in terms of defensively. I want to see him impact game on special teams. I feel like that's where he can immediately come in and help sway things. That it's such a big factor into what that position needs to be. If you're not the starting linebacker, and if you're the 4th, especially, he certainly has the ability to do it. It's the type of thing, if you're filling in the ADG role, who was great on special teams, you need that impact. I think if he starts making that impact there to gain trust, that will indicate that he can start moving up. And I think you've seen that so far from him, that he's more than capable of doing that type of stuff. So I think when we look at it, he's made plays. It's been a little, I don't know, would you say it's been kind of nondescript from Barrett? I don't have a ton of times where he's popped in camp.
Mm-hmm.
You see him, you notice him, but I don't feel like he's certainly not been as noticeable as other rookies. But I think you can tell that Darren Simmons is going to be talking about him a lot as the year goes on. And if he's talking about him in good terms and not in negative terms, that's probably a sign of success. Let's dive into Jalen Rivers in 1 second. Before I get to Jalen Rivers, I want to talk to you guys about IDEOU. I don't know if you guys know about IDEOU, but if you ever feel overwhelmed, or stuck in your job, not us, of course. We love our jobs. We never feel stuck. We're very happy here. But if you ever feel that, it's important, but you're struggling with how to use AI and you're worried they're going to replace you, we're not worried about that. AI is not going to replace us. You can't get this from AI. Absolutely not. But if you are, IDEOU's AI design and thinking programs are designed for leaders just like you, people who want to stay ahead but keep problem-solving human-centered. It's practical, it's hands-on, it's built for real-world impact. It's just one of many different classes you can take with IDEOU. Can't recommend it enough. Sign up. Classes start soon. Enroll today. For a limited time, IDEOU is offering my listeners 15% off site-wide. So go to IDEOU.com/growler. That's IDEOU.com/growler for 15% off. You can do that today. Learn, be a better leader. Don't let AI take your job from you. We don't want that. In fact, I might have to run off to that class right now. It is a concern. Let's be honest. I was kind of lying earlier. This IDEOU.com/growler. All right, Jalen Rivers.
This segment's also brought to you by the Ghostbusters. You know who you're gonna call? Promo code Growler. Ghostbusters.
Yeah. This is Bankman is showing up very soon. Let's hope that you don't get turned into a dog like Sigourney Weaver. Okay. Let me guess, Charlie, haven't seen Ghostbusters.
Sorry. I know. But I got the reference.
Even I've seen that.
All right. Jalen Rivers notebook. Jay, what do you got?
So Charlie and I talked to him, I think it was last week. And one of the things, a lot of guys talk about and Dylan Fairchild talked about this, the difficulty of going from, and Scott Peters called it going from checkers to chess, the bigger, stronger, faster guys in this league. And Jalen wasn't talking so much about the competition, but he was talking about the transition from college technique to pro technique, and he called it easy. He said his O-line coach at Miami taught the same strike system and almost the exact same verbiage that Scott Peters uses. So I think that's big for him it helps the on-ramp to get to this level. And I thought it was interesting that Zac said that yesterday. It was always kind of, you were wondering if he would be an option at guard. Until something falls apart there, I think he's best suited to try to win that swing tackle job, and it's not stiff competition. And he hasn't looked great, but again, he's a 5th round rookie. Thursday night will be a big night for him to see how he looks when he gets in there, and presumably that it could even be against the threes of Philadelphia. But just get in there, get the assignments right, win his blocks, see where he fits best at tackle or at guard.
Unfortunately, it is stiff competition because all these guys are big and they're kind of stiff and they're all not having great camps. Jalen Rivers, I like even almost developmental tools, even though he's not an upside guy. Like, he's a comfortable big guy in a way that some of these other not to pick on him, but Deontay Smith just wasn't a comfortable big guy in a way that Jalen just feels more comfortable in his shoes moving around. Maybe this has even changed over the last 5 days, but about 5 days ago, I interviewed Scott Peters talking about Jalen Rivers, and I asked him about guard, and he said the needs at tackle. And that just goes to show something, we've talked about for a while, but something that should be hung on the banner at Paycor in the Colts game is talking about the Bengals backup swing tackle situation, because that's kind of where it's at with the, no pun intended, stiff competition. Another opportunity that is Jalen Rivers is to win. Jackson Kirkland's one of the big mystery boxes of camp because he's kind of still riding on the Bears preseason game that he played last year. And that's kind of it. That's kind of his resume. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but this whole third team, second and a half team offensive line, it's kind of like the same. You're waiting for someone to pop. No one's popped yet. There are still questions about the versatility of guys like Rivers, McLaughlin, Lee, etc. And this was a big part of the appeal with Scott Peters, his track record with these late round guys. So at least one of these guys probably will play at some point, and they need something from him.
Yeah, I think I have a hard time in my notes getting past just, watching his struggles with speed on the outside. We knew that was going to be part of it. That was a scouting report. Is he's not as nimble on his feet. He's not going to be as fat. But when you watch just Shemar and Miles Murphy just kind of just absolutely run around him and be able to just zip right around him untouched on some reps, specifically in one-on-ones, it's concerning. And then when you hear, the needs at tackle, and now we're hearing he's going to be shifting over to guard some, it's looking for more of what he can give you there. It tells you that they're looking for what that is right now. That's my notes on him. I don't know for well, maybe you guys have a better feel what success looks like if he gets on the field and isn't somebody that you're no longer talking about after this year. Like if it's somebody who gets on and whatever he does is encouraging enough to believe that he could be in some kind of a competition next year, wherever that is, whether even if it's swing tackle, is probably success. There's also a pretty good chance that he doesn't play at all. That's probably the Bengals' best case scenario is they don't need him, right? I mean, is that they can keep the guys in front of him healthy.
What I always keep going back to, kind of worrying about, is it is kind of the exact same plan as 2021, where Jackson Carman was a day 2 pick, Deontay Smith was a round 4 pick, right? Rivers was round 5, and then Seth McLaughlin would have been a 6-ish round pick. There's probably a lot of similarities between him and Trey Hill. Like, that was, of course, a massive failure that maybe cost the Bengals 2 Super Bowls. You change, you evolve, you grow, adapt, you learn lessons. Does that lead to any sort of production in shoring up these backup offensive line spots? It's just so huge for the Bengals, right? And that's one of the big things that makes the Eagles is they're going to be coming in and giving Shemar Stewart and all these guys a tough time with their second team. Can the Bengals have any of that?
Yeah, I was going to say for Jalen, can he get on the field as the 6th offensive lineman in jumbo sets? Can he beat out, I guess it would be Cody Ford for that spot? Just get some way to get into games and without injury and get his feet wet. And then, like you said, Paul, not be a question mark next year.
Yep. Let's hit on Tahj Brooks. What do we got in the Tahj Brooks notebook, Jay?
So it's not original because a lot of guys do this, but he did point out that he wrote down all 19 running backs that were drafted ahead of him. But he's not wasting time memorizing them. He's got a playbook to learn, but he's got them in his phone. He said his goal is to be greater than them. And I think not just memorizing the playbook, but I think there's a maturity there that he knows, like he said, his goal is to be greater than all of them. He knows that's not happening in 2025. It's a long game. It's to develop and have the best career out of all those guys. So again, it would be a waste of time. It'd be a cool trick to go sit there and rattle off 19 names that were drafted ahead of you, but he doesn't need to do that. And I think it's interesting, kind of going back even to draft night, and when we talked to Mike Potts about how the Bengals kind of went out of their comfort zone because they like getting guys that split time in college, and Chase Brown was a workhorse, and Tahj Brooks had 999 touches in college. That's huge. And so I've been really impressed with him, both as a runner, as a receiver. The pass pro, we'll get to see that Thursday night, but he seems eager for it. He said he welcomes it. He is not the kind of guy that's going to shy away from contact. And they asked him to do it a lot at Texas Tech, as you would imagine, with how much he was on the field.
To skip ahead, like, what makes this a successful season is, well, the Bengals probably won't have to make a panic trade at the deadline for a running back that they don't even plan to use because they have someone they trust to hold and carry the ball this season. Tahj Brooks is a very common answer to the question, who's impressed you this camp? Kind of when I go around, I ask around, kind of fits into the Demetrius Knight tier in terms of the feedback I'm getting on him. Now, and this has been stressed to me, it is a future role. It's not a 2025 role, but backup running back has been a spot that historically kind of quietly, kind of like backup offensive tackle, they've done a poor job restocking. And he just looks like a real running back in a way that a lot of these other backups, 6th-round picks, etc., weren't. And I feel good about the pick.
There's a pretty good chance at some point this season, Chase Brown's going to be down for a game or two. Pretty good chance. That's the nature of the position, or maybe Samaje, right? One of those two guys is going to have a week, 2 weeks. Bengals hope not longer. I hope that when you see that, you feel like, ooh, you say, ooh, Tahj Brooks, right? You see something. You see some juice. You see him look like somebody who you're excited about what the future could be for him. How does that look? Because the Bengals' success with this position is that Tahj Brooks doesn't need to see the field, because you want Chase Brown out there just racking it up and being explosive and becoming the guy they know that they think they have, I guess. But for me, it's when that opportunity comes is you see him and you start doing that sound that you do when you see a running back that you get excited about. Ooh, okay. He needs to make some people make those sounds when he gets the few opportunities that he's going to get. And hey, you never know. It can be, you can have something happen in week 1, and next thing you know, it's the Tahj Brooks rookie season is here. It happens fast at running back. You got to be ready. You never know when it's going to happen. But to me, the most likely success scenario is he gets a game or two where he's able to come in and really make an impact. All right. One UDFA you like to make the team that is interesting to you, and then we'll start wrapping this up as quick as possible here. Charlie, what do you got?
It feels like the UDFAs aren't even rookies this year. Like, all right, I'm sure we'll talk about Howard Cross and Eric Gregory, but to me, it's the UDFAs who are kind of year 2, year 3, etc. To me, a fascinating decision, and it's going to be kind of a year 2 guy, is Cam Grady versus Tanner Hudson. It's almost like a philosophical conversation about what's more important to you, the guy who they are successfully force-feeding targets to make a point, or the guy who lets you continue to live in 12 to establish more of a point of attack, physicality at the line of scrimmage. These are, again, like 48th, 53rd man on the active or total roster decisions. But again, especially with how just few true rookies they have this year, and then kind of how the run game could continue to evolve between the tackles, that's a big one to me. Does Cam Grady have a spot on this team?
Yeah, for me, I don't know that he's got a good chance. I don't know if he can make the team because there's so many other guys in front of him. But Braylon Lux, the cornerback from Texas Tech, has looked pretty good out there. He looks like he belongs. Might take an injury for him to crack the 53, but he's a guy that you definitely would think that will be on the practice squad and could get a chance at some point this season. That's a position where injuries just tend to happen, and he's had moments out there, and with the way they've rested Cam Taylor, Britt, and Dax Hill, it's kind of just been a ripple effect where he's been getting in a little bit more and more, and he's made himself known.
Well, I mean, you talk about UDFAs that don't feel like rookies. He's of the Demetrius Knight mold. I mean, he's 24 going on 25. And when I've asked around to about UDFAs that have impressed people, his name has been the unanimous across different portions of the locker room and staffers. So it's like you're going to see, you watch Thursday night, you're going to see a lot of Braylon Lux out there. They want to see what it looks like. They want to get him out there, and maybe he fails and it doesn't go well, whatever. But he is certainly the name that stands out for me amongst the UDFAs. Let's see. Should we do a growler bet, Jay? Throw a growler bet in here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, growler bet. Who will be the leading receiver in the preseason opener in Philadelphia? Who will be the leading receiver in Philadelphia? Receiving yards will be the tiebreaker here. Send in to the Growler Podcast at gmail.com. Winner will get, should we go? We'll do the live show. Okay. And of course, if you can't make it to the live show, you can send somebody in your honor. We'll have some drinks on us that night. So that is it. If you can get Growler and something funny in the subject header, we always appreciate that. Make sure you send the Growler Podcast at gmail.com. Send us their answers before kickoff. Leading receiver, receiving yards, the tiebreaker. Jay, what do you got?
So we talked about this a little bit at practice yesterday. I'm going to go away from the guy that I talked about yesterday, because I won't mention him, but I think he's a candidate to be the week 3 leader. I'm going to go Thursday night, Jermaine Burton. I just think they want to see him out there. They want to know that he can run the right routes, be where he's supposed to be. Zach made it sound like with the question about Desmond Ridder that we're going to see a lot of Jake Browning, which would kind of follow. There's going to be a lot of those twos in the game, and it's just the perfect redemption arc for Jermaine Burton. When it all fell apart last year, he was supposed to have that big role against the Eagles, and he no-shows it at practice and the walkthrough. And so I'm going to go with him. And it could be one catch. It could be a bomb from Burrow. Who knows? Just runs a 9 route and gets a 70-yard touchdown. But I think there will be some volume there, and I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, should specify this is receiving yards. Receiving yards is the bet. So go ahead.
It's a great answer. My Jermaine Burton take for Thursday is the fewer yards per reception, the better, because that means it's less likely that he's just running deep against fourth string corners that we'll never see again, and more likely that he's in the point of the game where it's, all right, let's get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick and protect these guys segment of the game. My answer is going to be Tahj Brooks. I'll tell a quick story. Last year after the third preseason game, and I didn't handle this well, I admit that. Going back up to the press box, I happened to be in the elevator with Logan Woodside, and there was nothing to really say. And I knew Logan. Logan was a very nice guy. And he goes, something like, hey, man, tough day. And I said, I didn't want to. I mean, he's a nice guy. So I said, you know what, Logan? You got the screen game going. And he said, well thanks, man. And he liked that. So I think they're going to get the screen game to Tahj Brooks going in Logan Woodside's honor, wherever he may be watching from.
Okay. I like that. I am, it's tempting to just go out here and say that it's Jamar or T, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. I'm going to go Mitch Tinsley, who has been impressive in camp. He'll probably get a lot of run. He could be the kind to certainly catch a bomb. We saw him in the stadium practice go up top over 2 people. I think he's going to get opportunity, and that's going to be half the battle. And he's going to get it against Philadelphia's back of the roster, and that's going to help him too. So I'm going to go Mitch Tinsley, and we'll see where those numbers end up. Send that to the Growler Podcast at gmail.com, and you can win drinks on us at one of our live shows this year.
Make sure you include the yards, not just the player, for the tiebreaker.
Yes,
because we're
we
going to
need
get
player and yards. There's a lot. We still have the Growler Bet. The Hendrickson wall pick Growler Bet is hanging out there right now. 825. A lot of you guys were feeling the 25th. Okay, is a heavy day. So from those of us that are concerned about how much we're going to have to give away, are rooting against 825. But thanks to all of you that sent in your submissions, even those of you that didn't follow directions and send me the actual color of his shirt for the wall pick. But that's okay. All right, last thing. You have a video, right, Jay?
Yeah. So this was practice last week. There was a move the ball drill, and the second team was inside the red zone. I think they're even inside the 10, maybe even inside the 5. And they ran like a sprint out for Drew Sample, and he was coming right at us, right at the pylon. And you can see me in the foreground of this video. This video was taken by 8-year-old Patrick Davis, and Drew Sample was coming full speed. I'd love to know what his GPS speed was on this. He's coming full speed right at young Patrick, who's wearing a little Bengals helmet, and he got the video. I thought he stood in a little longer than he did. He's 8 years old. There's a big man running at him, so you see at the end it goes down. But then I love you hear Paul's comment to young Patrick. So here is the video from that day.
You got a live rep there, boy.
Did you film that?
It wasn't the 2s, it was the 1s, and because they said run, Burrow.
Yeah, that was amazing. Shout out to Patrick for hanging. And maybe we should see more kids bringing their helmets to practice. I mean, if you go to a practice, honestly, like that's the coolest thing that could possibly happen to you is you end up with a player. You get to really feel what NFL players provide, and that is just frightening moments. It's like he's coming right at me.
It's like to have the Kettering Health photo booth and the season tickets, sunglasses giveaway, and then the Get Tackled booth right next to those as you walk in the gates.
Shout out to Patrick for hanging in there. Great stuff. All right. You guys are awesome. Thanks for an hour plus on rookies. I think we have officially covered it, and now we can start judging everybody off of the actual games and less off the practices, which I look forward to. Charlie, I hope you're okay. Say hi to Casper. I hope
This
it's
wasn't a
Casper
bit.
and not Slimer.
I've never been more genuine about anything that's happened in my life.
I have a long ghost story to tell you next time that I see you back in Cincinnati. Enjoy your game in Chicago and your trip to Philadelphia, and good luck getting out alive. I cannot wait to talk to you more about your ghost experience. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening and for watching. We'll talk to you on the walkout tomorrow night. Have a good one.